Save Soil Ambassador Tseke Nkadimeng is not just talking, he's actually walking. He's embarked on a 10,000-kilometer walk around the country to raise soil awareness. Nkadimeng is calling for national policies and actions toward increasing organic content in cultivable soil. He joins us from the N7 near Cape Town, and that's 108 days and 4,000 kilometers into his journey. Thank you very much for joining us, Tseke. Maybe tell us why it's so important for us to understand the importance of your cause, that being the understanding of soil and its importance within the country's agricultural space.
Yeah, so soil, as you know, in the whole ecosystem is the most important. It's the most important resource for our living, because soil provides the food, soil provides everything else of who we are. So it's the basis of who we are. So it is quite very important that we have to look after soil. Soil also plays a big role in the climate change arena, in the sense that it's one of the largest climate carbon sequester in the world currently, because the plants and everything else needs a healthy soil. So it is very important.
Tell us about these government policies and actions that you would like to see so that you can have what you've just spoken about in terms of an awareness of healthy, cultivable soil that we can use to grow the agricultural space in the country.
So soil, and if you look at South Africa, most of the land obviously is in private hands, and it means it's the farmers which work on the soil and every other day. So it is quite important that the farmers and the government come together and say, well, we have to look at making sure that we have a healthy soil. And as science have already said, scientists all over the world have said that the minimum organic content in soil is 3%. Currently, across the continent, we are sitting at 0.4%. So for us, it means that producing food, we have to rely on chemicals, we have to rely on pesticides and everything else. So, and that's not something which it can be sustainable. As we have seen, for instance, the Russian situation in Ukraine created that we cannot get enough chemicals to plant in there. So we have to go back to having a sustainable method of farming, which means that the food and farming will be there for us and for our children and grandchildren going forward.
Now, tell us about your initiative. Tell us about your initiative, the walking. You've already completed around 4,000 kilometers. Tell us about that process, but also, have you started to achieve the kind of awareness that you were hoping to achieve as Save Soil?
Yeah, so I saw this awareness happening in around Europe, happening in around Asia. And I thought to myself that as Africa, we cannot wait for things to be happening somewhere before we do something. We have to do something ourselves. And that the first part is engaging with the communities. It's engaging with the people on the ground so that we can say, because it's not the fault of government, it's not the fault of farmers, it's all our problems. We can say, all of us, and say, okay, let's get together and look at what type of policies do we implement to make sure that we get soil quickly. Those implementation programs obviously require funding. And that means that someone else will have to pay something towards getting those soil back to where its level it should be. So government, the private sector, farmers and everyone else, and even the consumers, because if farmers have to pay more, it means that the food prices will go up. So the consumers, in a way, also will be affected by what we need to do. But we have to do something now than wait in the next 15 years when it becomes too expensive. So Conscious Planet and Save Soil movement did provide for me a platform which we can to raise awareness. And so far, we've been reaching quite a lot of people. The communities, they're quite receptive. The farmers, yes, they love to see some activity happening, but they also need support because, a 16,000 hectare farm planting grain in the Western Cape cannot afford to have, to implement this regenerative method by himself. There are loans and other things to repay. So somehow we'll have to get government and everyone else support.
Now, how many kilometers are you walking a day? And are you walking by yourself or do you have a group that you walk with? And also the safety issues. South Africa is not the safest of countries. How are you ensuring that your walks are danger-free?
So I walk mostly on the national road, and which it's a bit safe. But I start my walk around 5 o'clock and do target to do 40 kilometers a day. So far, right now, as we're talking, I've done about 23 kilometers this morning. So yes, safety is an issue, but fortunately, I'm not carrying anything expensive, which will make myself attractive for anything else. So far, by grace of God, I've been quite safe as I walk along. And I hope that as I complete the last 6,000 kilometers, it will be the same. But this is more important than an individual's safety. It's a very important thing which we have to do for ourselves and for our children. And for me, as I said, Conscious Planet provided me that platform, which we have to share this with the rest of the people in South Africa and Africa.
No, absolutely correct. And just a final thought from you. How many more days do you foresee on this walk before you reach that 10,000 kilometers?
So my plan is to arrive in Pretoria on the 4th of April next year. So that means I'm left now with about 140 days to go. So it's still a long way to go. And hopefully when we get to Pretoria, we can engage with the president there and give him, because we get people signing a book for us. And also giving comments. As you will know, that also the inspiration for this came through the Freedom Charter movement of 1955, where our elders did a door-to-door campaign. So I'm also sort of doing a door-to-door campaign, but this time talking about soil. So those comments and everything, I hope to deliver them to the president in April next year.
And hopefully they'll be well received. Just a quick one. The team wants to know where you get to rest every evening. Your lodgings, do you camp or are you sleeping at hotels? How are your sleeping arrangements?
So mostly we camp. I've got a team of 2 guys which are working, they're driving a car. And it's got all the necessary equipment for us to camp everywhere. Farmers have been very receptive to allow us to camp in their area. So we are quite self-sufficient. And yes, when we get closer to the cities, we do sleep in B&Bs and some hotels. And also just well-wishers on the road, they do allow us to sleep in their homes as well.
Oh, what a wonderful initiative that you have embarked on, Tseke, and I wish you everything of the best. We'll definitely catch up with you in Pretoria in April when you arrive next year. That is Safe Soil Ambassador Tseke Nkadimeng walking throughout the country, raising awareness on the importance of soil.